I knew you started with that very easy question. Can you hear me? I knew Vincent would start with that very easy question. I didn't know what he was going to, but I predicted that's what he would do. And it's been a very difficult question for me. Why do I want to be president? It's not a false humility. I know it's not something to think about or dream about being president. It happened really organically, and I come to why again very quickly. It happened organically from the messages I got over a long period of time, about a year and a half. And I'm ashamed to say I didn't take much notice of them because my reaction was, are they all magic mushrooms? And then gradually I began to look, with help from my staff, to actually look and say, what are people looking for in a president? Why are they encouraging to go forward? And finally, over a number of months, I decided. And I think we're at a crossroads, which is a cliche really, but we're at a very important point in the history of Ireland. And I think we need a voice for peace. I think we need a voice that's not afraid to stand up and stand out when necessary. A voice you can trust. A voice that will not go with the prevailing narrative if it's the wrong narrative. And I think the characteristics that I would like to see in a president are courage, compassion, the ability to listen, and so on. And the thing about the presidency is the people of Ireland, we will decide whether I have those characteristics. But I would like to put it in that way. Let the people decide, do I have those characteristics? And I think over the course of my career, I have the privilege of serving in many, many positions. As a student, I did many jobs, which we all did, from cleaning to chambermaid to nurse's aide. Then I was a student. I became a clinical psychologist. In between, I did a diploma in education. But I worked for almost 7 years as a clinical psychologist. I worked as a barrister. I don't think all of this background is necessary to be president, and I wouldn't like to give the impression that you need these qualifications, but I think the experience I've got from working in the different roles, and parallel with being a barrister for over 20 years, I was a city councillor for 17 years, and then I was elected to the Dáil in 2016. I've served 2 terms, and I had the privilege of being Last Cloncorna for 4.5 years. So all of those different roles, I think I've shown resilience and courage. I take little credit for that. I give the credit to my parents, my siblings, and my father in particular, who gave me a sense of social justice from a very young age, and who spotted hypocrisy from a far distance. And so I think where I grew up, my house, I described it as a non-political house. I was wrong, because it was most political in the true sense of what politics is, which is social justice. And we had that from day one, and if you want me to go into more, I will. To answer your question, why do I want to be president? I'm finally able to say I think I'm the right person at this time to reflect Ireland in an inclusive manner, and to reflect ye on the national and the international stage, because together we're stronger. And I think we need a voice for peace, a voice to articulate neutrality in a most positive way. We need to call out truth to power, albeit within the confines of my role when I'm there, as set out in the Constitution. But there is scope there. And finally, I'll finish by saying I think Michael D has done a very good job. He has shown great courage on every occasion that he's spoken out, and he has taken quite some flack for that. Prior to that, Mary McAleese expanded the role, and prior to that, Mary Robinson. I would like to think that I will continue in that tradition and add more to it, because we're facing more difficult times and a changed world from the time that those 3 presidents were elected.
Yes. I see my response is very brief. The issues that you care about and have been campaigning about
are more relevant. The presidency is hardly relevant to them. And therefore I wonder, why are you leaving the Dáil?
where you could have advanced the causes that you've campaigned.
Over the years.
I think it's a very good, valid question. And I didn't make the decision easy. And I have taken flack, and people, I don't word flack, people have written to me, expressed their concern either by letter, or phones or email to tell me I'd be better staying in the Dáil. Some people are disappointed with me for making the decision. Others are thrilled. I think I have pushed my career in the Dáil as much. I've used every single opportunity with my technical group. And in the Dáil you form a technical group if you're an independent to get speaking to. I've done that on my third term in the Dáil, and we've succeeded in getting speaking time. Sometimes it's a minute, sometimes it's 30 minutes if it's legislation. And what I say is I've used it to the best of my ability. I have read on each topic with the head of the team, the very good team that works with me. They were a team with this one woman and a number of others. But I think we need to see the presidency reflect Ireland as it is now. In Irish, in Gaeilge Journey, Cobbler Driel Mar here. Where is our destination as a country? And
Do countries have destinations?
I think so. I do, in the sense of where is it we want to go with our voice as a small neutral country, a country with a specific history of colonisation, of a horrific famine, and how do we use that history and experience for the common good, both nationally and internationally. And I think more than ever there's a need for a voice that will articulate that and reflect what's best of our Irish people.
Issues you've been
Concerned with have to do with equality, poverty, obviously the housing issue. But you can do almost nothing about those as president, whereas as a TD, it's the Dáil that matters in terms of getting things done and changing things. And you're leaving the Dáil to go into an office that has hardly any power.
I fully agree with you that policy is decided in the Dáil and that independents and opposition parties have an absolutely important role in shaping the narrative in the Dáil and amending legislation and changing the narrative. And I think I've done that with other like-minded colleagues over my time in the Dáil at great cost on occasion.
But it hasn't worked.
Democracy is all we have, and we have to work it as best we can. It's the democratic system. It has worked on occasions. Thomas Pringle, the former deputy, brought in a fuel divestment from investment in fuels, oil and gas. That was successful. We passed that legislation. We've influenced the narrative in relation to housing. It's presented as a problem that's inevitable. The housing crisis is not inevitable. The housing crisis is a deliberate creation, consequence of government policy. So my role in the Dáil, along with like-minded TDs, we've repeatedly sought to change the narrative and to influence policy. And your question in relation to the presidency, obviously it's a limited role in the sense that there are only a number of articles in the Constitution which set out the role of president. But one of them in particular, you take a solemn vow to serve the welfare of the people of Ireland. Now the word serve is near to my heart, and then the welfare of the people of Ireland. That's quite an onerous obligation.
But you don't have any power to do anything about it.
But you could use the same argument that you don't have any power as an opposition, and therefore why would you be in opposition? Of course you have power. You haven't the majority power, but you have a moral power and you have a voice. And I would see my voice all my life as enabling and empowering people to use their own voices. Indeed, it's the slogan that we've used, to raise your voice. So I would, all my life in my different roles as an advocate, going way back, I was in the Order of Malta, I was actually in the Legion of Mary at one point. It was to enable and empower. And it's vital that somebody serves that role and realise what a privilege it is to serve in that role.
You've been critical. There are some people here not clapping. Look,
No, I don't think they like you, Vincent.
You have expressed criticism about the EU because of its neoliberal agenda, because of its what you call warmongering, and would, in your opinion, we be better off now if we left the EU?
No, I have always been a committed European. And again, because I come from a large family, we've practically experienced everything from tragedy to ecstasy in our family. I've also 3 members of my family that spent a very long time in Germany with fluent German. I have German in my degree. I've worked in Germany. I've done a semester at the university. I say that all by way
But
of
what's
saying
got to do with the EU?
I'm a committed European. The EU is absolutely lost for the last number of years in terms of its militarisation and in terms of its neoliberal agenda. And I'm just what you said, that I'm anti-EU, I'm not. I'm certainly critical and very critical of the direction that Europe has taken. I think they've utterly failed the people of Palestine. They have allowed the genocide to be perpetuated in our name as we stand by. We have to be critical.
How could it have stopped the genocide in Gaza? How could it have stopped it?
The genocide has been enabled and empowered by the science of the European Union, by America financing it, sending out arms to it, along with England and other countries. In fact, America has used its veto something like over 80 times.
Nothing to do with the EU.
But it is, just let me, over 80 times, 50% of that was to stop resolutions condemning Israel. That's America did that. Israel has Europe has backed up America repeatedly. Van der Leyen has said she stands shoulder to shoulder with Netanyahu. We've been told he's made the desert bloom, and through all of this, Europe has remained, if not silent, worse than that, when Van der Leyen used those words. So what I'm saying is, Europe can be a force for peace. Theoretically, that's why it was set up. To never have the Second World War again, so that we would avoid these type of wars. And now, most of the economies in Europe are beginning to thrive because of the arms industry. And somebody has to use a voice in relation to that. Fail or succeed, one has to use one's voice to stand up and call out what's happening.